No one on Outpost Kestrel was supposed to die that night. The shift had been routine, too routine. The kind of quiet that made veteran miners uneasy. Above them, the gray sky of the dead moon hung like a frozen ocean, endless and silent. Beneath their boots stretched miles of rock that hadn't seen sunlight in millions of years. And buried somewhere down there, something had just woken up. The alarm started as a faint chirp on the seismic console. Technician Marcus Hale frowned at the screen. That can't be right. A ripple moved across the sensor graph. Slow, enormous. Another tremor followed. Then another. Control, Marcus said into the comm, trying to keep his voice calm. I'm getting movement readings from Shaft 7. A pause crackled through the speakers. Movement, the supervisor replied. Marcus, that's 2 miles under solid crust. I know. The entire mining rig shuddered. Metal beams groaned. Dust rained from the ceiling. Now everyone in the control room was staring at the screens. What the hell is that? Whispered Daniel Brooks, the drilling operator. Marcus zoomed the scan deeper. The signal was huge. Not machinery, not shifting rock. A single mass, long, coiled, and impossibly large. Tell me that's a fossil, Daniel said. Marcus swallowed. Fossils don't move. Another tremor struck. Stronger this time. The drill shaft cameras flickered. For a split second, something appeared on the screen. A massive curved surface, dark and ridged like overlapping armor. Then the feed cut to static. Daniel leaned closer to the monitor. Was that scales? The entire outpost shook violently. Warning lights erupted across the control room. Seismic spike. Marcus shouted. Shut the drill down, the supervisor ordered. But it was too late. Miles below the surface, the ancient drill had punched through the final layer of stone. And something on the other side, inhaled. The ground stopped shaking. Every screen in the room flatlined. Silence swallowed the outpost. Marcus slowly exhaled. Maybe it's over. Then the comm channel filled with a sound no one had ever heard before. A deep rumble. Not mechanical. Not geological. Breathing. Daniel's face went pale. Please tell me that's not what I think it is. The external sensors suddenly exploded with readings. Heat. Energy. Movement. Something massive was rising. Rock strata cracked open beneath the mining shaft as a colossal shape shifted in the darkness. The seismic graph went wild. Marcus whispered, "Oh my God!" 2 miles below them, a creature longer than the mining complex itself slowly uncoiled. Stone that had imprisoned it for ages shattered like brittle glass. Ancient wings flexed for the first time in millions of years. And then the sensors picked up something impossible. A signal. Not a roar. Not an attack. A transmission. The colony's translation AI scrambled to interpret the alien frequency. Words formed slowly on the screen. Broken. Weak. Ancient. Marcus stared as the translation finalized. 3 simple words appeared. Please. Water. No one spoke. Daniel blinked at the message. Did that thing just ask us for a drink? Another tremor shook the outpost, gentler this time. Not violent. More like a struggling movement. Miles below them, the ancient creature shifted again. The cameras briefly came back online. For 1 second the miners saw it clearly. A vast serpentine body covered in black metallic scales. Eyes like dim stars opening in the dark. A dragon. A real one. And it looked exhausted. The translation console crackled again. The signal was weaker now. Fading. One final message appeared across the screen. Please, just one drink. Marcus leaned back slowly, heart hammering in his chest. 2 miles beneath their feet, an alien dragon older than human civilization was dying of thirst. And somehow, it had chosen to ask humanity for help. For a long moment after the message appeared, no one in the control room spoke. The words still glowed on the monitor. Please, just one drink. Daniel Brooks rubbed his eyes. Tell me the translation software is broken. Marcus Hale didn't answer. He replayed the signal again. Same result. Same message. The supervisor, Captain Aaron Cole, stepped forward and studied the screen. Size estimate, he asked quietly. Marcus pulled up the scan. The holographic projection filled the center of the room and kept expanding. The control room fell silent again. Length, Marcus said slowly, approximately 600 meters. Daniel let out a weak laugh. That's not a creature. That's a city. The scan rotated. A massive serpentine shape lay coiled deep beneath the rock layers. Huge folded wings stretched along its sides, their bones thicker than the mining rig itself. The scales reflected faint energy readings, like metal mixed with something organic. And in the center of the shape, a single enormous heartbeat pulsed across the sensor grid. Slow, weak. Captain Cole folded his arms. So we've got an unknown alien life form the size of a mountain, asking us politely for water. Looks that way, Marcus said. Daniel shook his head. Oh, it's bait. Everyone looked at him. Think about it, Daniel continued. Giant monster wakes up under our base, and the first thing it says is please. That's suspicious. Marcus gestured toward the readings. If it wanted us dead, the outpost would already be gone. Another tremor rolled beneath their feet. Not violent, just movement, like something struggling to shift its weight. Then the translation console flickered again. More alien signals poured into the system. The AI processed them slowly. New words appeared on the screen. Thirst, long, sleep, please. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Captain, he said quietly, I think it's dying. Cole stared at the hologram for a long moment. Daniel, he said, yeah. How much water can we pump down Shaft 7? Daniel blinked. You're serious? Cole didn't answer the question. Daniel sighed and turned to his console. Well, the mining coolant tanks hold about 40,000 liters. Marcus raised an eyebrow. That enough for a 600-meter dragon? Daniel shrugged. Probably not. Captain Cole made the decision anyway. Send it. The pumps roared to life. Deep inside the drilling shaft, massive pipes began pushing water down through miles of reinforced tubing. The colony waited. Every sensor was pointed at the creature below. Marcus watched the hologram as the water reached the cavern where the dragon lay buried. At first, nothing happened. Then the creature moved. The effect was immediate. Energy readings spiked. Heat signatures brightened across its body. The massive form slowly lifted its head. The seismic sensors trembled under the weight of the motion. Daniel leaned forward. Okay, that definitely worked. Then something incredible happened. The alien signal returned, stronger this time. The translation console flashed. A new message appeared. Relief. Thank you. The control room erupted into stunned laughter. Did we just hydrate a dragon? Daniel said. Marcus shook his head in disbelief. I think we did. But the messages weren't finished. More signals poured into the translator. The AI struggled to process them. When the next words appeared, the room went silent again. You are not them. Captain Cole frowned. Marcus looked at the incoming data. I think it's trying to explain something. The signal stabilized. The dragon's voice, if that's what it was, became clearer. The translation appeared piece by piece. Long ago, my kind ruled the stars. Daniel muttered, Of course they did. The next message appeared. War came. The sky burned. The hologram suddenly lit up with strange energy echoes, ancient signals still clinging to the creature's body. Weapons. Old ones. Very old. Marcus stared at the readings. Captain, these energy scars are millions of years old. Cole slowly turned toward the hologram. Keep translating. The screen flickered again. My people. Gone. Hunted. Erased. Another pause. The dragon's heartbeat weakened slightly on the scan. Then came the final message. I hid here. To sleep. To survive. Daniel leaned back in his chair. So let me get this straight, he said quietly. That thing down there is the last of its species. Marcus nodded slowly. Looks like it. Another message appeared. Short. Heavy. Lonely. I am the last. The control room felt colder somehow. Miles below them, an ancient creature that had once ruled the galaxy lay buried in rock, completely alone. Captain Cole finally spoke. How long? He asked. Marcus checked the carbon dating on the surrounding rock layers. He swallowed. Rough estimate. Say it. Between 4 and 6 million years. Daniel stayed at the screen. That thing's been asleep since before humans existed. The dragon's signal flickered again. But this time the message was different. Urgent. Almost fearful. The words appeared slowly. My signal. They will hear. Marcus frowned. Who will hear? The answer appeared one word at a time. The hunters. The room fell silent again. Daniel looked at the massive hologram beneath their feet. So, who exactly are the hunters? For a moment, nothing happened. Then every deep space sensor on Outpost Kestrel lit up at once. Marcus's console screamed with alerts. Captain. Cole spun toward the screen. What is it? Marcus zoomed the telescope feed. A distant shape appeared at the edge of the star system. Cold, metallic, ancient, and moving straight toward the colony. Daniel whispered a thought no one wanted to say out loud. I think they just found him. The alarm siren started screaming across Outpost Kestrel. Marcus Hale's console filled with warning alerts so fast the screen turned red. Unknown vessel entering the system, he shouted. Captain Aaron Cole stepped behind him. Range. Marcus zoomed the telescope feed. The shape grew clearer against the distant stars. Cold, angular, and enormous. Distance 30 million kilometers and closing fast. Daniel Brooks leaned over Marcus's shoulder. That doesn't look like any ship I've ever seen. It didn't. The object had no smooth hull, no visible engines, no lights. Instead, its surface was covered in sharp metallic structures that looked less like a spacecraft and more like a weapon. A giant one. Marcus's senses began analyzing the signal emissions. His stomach dropped. Captain. Cole didn't look away from the screen. Say it. That thing isn't broadcasting communications. What is it broadcasting? Marcus swallowed. Targeting signals. The control room fell silent. Daniel leaned back slowly in his chair. Targeting us. Marcus shook his head. No. He tapped a command and the hologram shifted. The signal beam wasn't pointing at the colony. It was pointing straight down, 2 miles beneath the surface. At the dragon, deep underground, the ancient creature stared again. The water from the colony had revived it enough to move, but the massive body was still weak. The cavern around it groaned as scales scraped against stone. On the sensor grid, the dragon's heartbeat accelerated, not from strength, from fear. The translator console flickered violently as another signal burst through. Words appeared quickly now. Clearer. Stronger. They found me. Marcus leaned toward the screen. The hunters. A new message appeared. Yes. The dragon's energy reading spiked again. They never stop. They never forget. Daniel rubbed his face. Great. Ancient motor robots with good memory. Captain Cole turned toward Marcus. Can we talk to that ship? Marcus tried opening every known communication channel. Nothing. No response. No acknowledgement. It's ignoring us, Marcus said. Daniel pointed at the scanning data. Or maybe it doesn't care about us. Marcus looked again. Daniel was right. The targeting beams were tightening on a single location, the dragon's position. Cole frowned. So we're not the target. Marcus nodded slowly. We're just standing on top of it. The alien vessel accelerated. Its engines ignited without flame, distorting space around the ship like rippling glass. Marcus zoomed the image again. Smaller shapes began detaching from the main structure. Hundreds of them. Attack drones. Daniel let out a low whistle. Well, that's definitely bad. How long until they reach orbit? Cole asked. Marcus checked the numbers. 30 minutes. Daniel stood up. Captain, we're mining outpost. Cole nodded. I'm aware. Which means, Daniel continued, our defenses consist of 1 security shuttle, 2 cargo haulers, and a very angry forklift. Marcus almost laughed, but the dragon's signal interrupted them again. The translation console flashed urgently. You must leave. Cole crossed his arms. Explain. The message appeared slowly. They will destroy everything. They always do. Marcus whispered. They wipe out entire worlds just to kill 1 dragon. The next message answered him. Yes. Daniel looked toward the floor beneath them. Wow, they really hate you. A pause. Then the dragon replied. We fought them first. The sensors suddenly flared with a burst of ancient energy signatures radiating from the dragon body. Weapon scars. Deep ones. Millions of years old. The message continued. Long ago, my kind ruled the galaxy. Marcus muttered, "Yeah, we heard that part." The translation kept going. The hunters were built to end US. Daniel blinked. Built? Another message appeared. War machines. Self-replicating. Marcus's eyes widened. You're telling me someone built these things, and they are still operating millions of years later? The dragon's answer came immediately. They only have one purpose. The telescope feed suddenly zoomed automatically. The alien ship had doubled its speed. The attack drones were spreading into formation. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. The translation console finished the sentence. Kill every dragon. The room fell silent. Captain Cole finally spoke. So if we hand you over, they'll leave? There was a long pause. Then the dragon answered honestly. "No." Everyone looked up. The final message appeared. They erase witnesses. Daniel exhaled slowly. Of course they do. Marcus stared at the incoming fleet. Hundreds of drones now, each one armed with energy weapons far beyond anything the colony possessed. The main warship loomed behind them like a silent executioner. "Captain," Marcus said quietly. Cole turned to him. "If they reach the surface," Marcus continued, "there won't be an outpost left." Daniel leaned against the console. "So what's the plan?" Cole looked around the room. 20 miners and technicians stayed back at him. Normal people. Not soldiers. Not heroes. Just workers on a forgotten moon. Then the dragon's voice appeared one more time on the screen. Weak again. Resigned. "I am sorry. You helped me. Now you will die with me." Marcus felt something tighten in his chest. Daniel shook his head slowly. "Well, that's depressing." Captain Cole stared at the hologram of the ancient creature beneath their feet. 600 meters long. Last survivor of a dead civilization. And hunted for millions of years. Then he looked back at the incoming fleet. Hundreds of machines built to erase it from existence. Cole straightened. "Marcus." "Yes, sir?" "How much more water do we have?" Marcus blinked. "About 200,000 liters in the reserve tanks." Daniel frowned. "Captain, hydration therapy isn't going to stop an alien armada." Cole didn't smile. "I know." He turned toward the entire control room. "But if that dragon's the last of its kind." He pointed toward the incoming fleet. "Then those things have been winning for a very long time." The room grew quiet. Cole gave a single calm order. "Pump every drop we've got down that shaft." Daniel stared at him. "You're serious?" Cole nodded. "Because if we're going to die anyway." He looked back at the hologram of the dragon. "We might as well wake it all the way up." Miles below them, the ancient creature felt the first surge of water rushing toward it again. And for the first time in millions of years, the dragon's energy readings began to rise. The pump screamed as every water reserve in Outpost Kestrel surged down Shaft 7. Emergency tanks, coolant reservoirs, even the colony's drinking supply. 200,000 liters thundered through reinforced pipes into the cavern below. Marcus Hale watched the energy readings climb. Slowly at first, then faster. "Captain," he said quietly. Aaron Cole stepped beside him. "Is it working?" Marcus pointed to the hologram. The dragon's enormous body was glowing faintly now, thin veins of light moving beneath its metallic scales. "Yeah," Marcus said. "It's working." Miles beneath the surface, the ancient dragon lifted its head. Water poured across its scales like rain after a drought that had lasted millions of years. The creature drank deeply. Its massive throat pulsed with every swallow. Ancient organs long dormant began to restart. Energy spread across its body. Scales that had been dull and gray began to shine with deep black and silver tones. The cavern trembled as the dragon shifted its weight. Stone cracked beneath claws the size of transport ships. And far above, the hunters were arriving. Marcus's console exploded with alerts. "They are entering orbit." Daniel Brooks ran another scan. The screen filled with red targeting markers. 200 drones. No, wait. He zoomed in. 300. Captain Cole stared at the display. The alien machines moved with terrifying precision. Perfect formations. No hesitation. No communication signals. Just silent purpose. They are spreading out, Marcus said. The hologram showed the drones forming a massive grid above the moon. Every single weapon aimed toward the mining colony. Daniel whistled nervously. That seems excessive. Marcus shook his head. They are not just targeting the outpost. He expanded the sensor map. Energy beams converged on one point. Shaft 7. Daniel groaned. They are going to drill us from orbit. Cole crossed his arms. How long? Marcus ran the calculation. 7 minutes. Below them, the dragon spoke again. Its voice through the translator was deeper now, stronger, but still tired. Humans. Marcus leaned toward the console. We hear you. A pause. Then the dragon asked a question. Why are you helping me? The control room exchanged glances. Finally, Daniel shrugged and stepped closer to the microphone. You asked nicely. The dragon was silent for several seconds. Then it responded. My kind never begged. Daniel smirked. Yeah, well, you're talking to humans now. Marcus couldn't help smiling. But the moment didn't last. The orbital drones began firing. The sky above Outpost Kestrel turned white. 300 energy lances slammed into the surface. The ground shook violently. Entire sections of rock vaporized instantly. The beams began drilling downward, straight toward the dragon. Marcus's sensors screamed. They are punching through the crust. Captain Cole didn't hesitate. Evacuate all surface structures. The colony sirens howled. Workers ran for the underground shelters as the bombardment intensified. Daniel stayed at the scan. They are going to reach the cavern. Marcus nodded grimly. 2 minutes. The dragon felt it too. Ancient instinct awakened. Enemies. The same enemies that had hunted its kind across the stars. Its wings slowly unfolded. Stone walls cracked as the enormous limbs stretched for the first time in millions of years. The translator flickered again. They are here. Marcus answered quietly. Yeah, we noticed. The dragon's energy levels continued climbing as more water poured into the cavern. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. The dragon spoke again. I am still weak. Daniel looked at the orbital bombardment. Join the club. Another blast rocked the moon. The hunters were getting closer. Marcus checked the depth scanners. 1 minute. The dragon's voice grew heavier. Almost sad. Humans, you should run. Captain Cole folded his arms. Too late for that. Marcus blinked. Captain. Cole pointed at the tactical display. Even if they abandoned the outpost now, the drones would simply track the dragon's signal, which meant the colony ships would be destroyed before leaving orbit. Daniel sighed. Guess we're in this together. Marcus turned back to the console. Dragon, how strong were you before all this? The response came slowly. Strong enough to burn fleets. Daniel raised an eyebrow. That sounds useful. Marcus checked the energy readings again. The dragon was close. Very close. But the hunter's drilling beam suddenly punched through the final rock layer. The cavern's ceiling exploded. Blinding white energy poured into the underground chamber. Marcus shouted. They breached. On the sensor grid, hundreds of drone weapons locked onto the dragon's body. The machines had finally found their target. For a moment, everything went still. Then the dragon inhaled. A massive breath that echoed through the entire moon. Water surged through its system one final time. Energy spiked across the readings. Marcus's eyes widened. Captain. Cole leaned forward. What? Marcus pointed at the graph. The dragon's power output had just multiplied tenfold. Down in the cavern, the ancient creature slowly rose to its full height. 600 meters of armored scales. Wings spreading wider and wider. The cavern shattered around it. The dragon's eyes ignited like twin suns. For the first time in millions of years, the last dragon of a dead civilization was fully awake. The translator flashed one final message. Thank you, humans. Then the dragon launched upward. The entire mountain exploded as a colossal black form burst through the surface of the moon. Rock and fire blasted into space. In orbit, 300 hunter drones turned their weapons toward the rising creature. But they were too late. Massive wings unfolded against the stars. And for the first time since the ancient war ended, A dragon roared across the galaxy again. The sky above Outpost Kestrel split open. For the miners watching from the underground shelters, it felt like the moon itself had shattered. Rock blasted into space. Dust storms rolled across the surface. And from the center of the explosion, something enormous rose into the darkness. Marcus Hale stared at the external cameras in stunned silence. The dragon's wings stretched across half the sky. 600 meters of armored scales glowed with deep silver light as it climbed out of the crater that had once been Shaft 7. Daniel Brooks whispered the only thing anyone could think to say. Well, now that's a dragon. In orbit, the hunter drones reacted instantly. Hundreds of machines shifted formation, their weapons locking onto the enormous life form that had just emerged from the surface. For millions of years, their programming had waited for this moment. Target found. Mission resume. Destroy the dragon. Energy cannons fired. 300 beams of white-hot light streaked through space toward the rising creature. Marcus gasped. They're firing! The dragon saw the attack coming. Ancient instincts took over. Its wings snapped forward, not to block the beams, but to accelerate. The dragon launched itself upward with terrifying speed. Energy blasts tore through the space it had occupied a moment earlier. The creature twisted through the vacuum with impossible grace for something so massive. Daniel stared at the monitor. Is it flying in space? Marcus checked the readings. Apparently, yes. The dragon roared. The sound carried through the vacuum as a violent shockwave of energy rather than noise. Every drone in the front line shuddered as the wave struck them. Their formations faltered. Just for a second, that was all the dragon needed. It struck the first wave like a meteor. One enormous claw ripped through a hunter drone, tearing the machine apart in a burst of molten metal. Its tail followed, smashing 2 more drones into spinning debris. Energy cannons fired again. This time, several blasts struck the dragon directly. Marcus felt his heart stop. The explosion lit up the darkness. When the light faded, the dragon was still there. Its scales glowed brighter where the weapons had struck. Daniel leaned forward. Are those absorbing the energy? Marcus checked the readings. His eyes widened. I think they are. The dragon inhaled again. Deep, powerful. Its chest expanded like a living reactor. Captain Cole whispered, What's it doing? Marcus didn't answer. The dragon exhaled. A beam of pure blue-white fire erupted from its mouth. The energy blast tore across the drone formation like a comet. Machines vaporized instantly. Others spiraled away as molten wreckage. Within seconds, half the hunter fleet was gone. Daniel slapped the console. Okay, that's officially the coolest thing I've ever seen. But the battle wasn't over. The massive hunter warship in the background finally moved. For millions of years it had commanded the machines. Now it joined the fight itself. The ship unfolded. Massive weapon arrays emerged from its armored hull. Marcus's senses began screaming. That thing is charging something big. The dragon turned toward the warship. It knew this enemy, the last survivor of an ancient war. The creature's wings beat once, twice, propelling it forward. The warship fired. A colossal beam erupted from the vessel, far stronger than anything the drones had used. The blast struck the dragon head-on. The explosion lit the entire moon. Marcus shouted, "Direct hit!" For a terrifying moment, the dragon disappeared inside the energy storm. Daniel whispered, "No!" Then the light faded. The dragon burst through the blast. Still flying, still furious. Several scales had shattered, but the creature barely slowed. Marcus laughed in disbelief. "I don't think that thing realizes it's supposed to die." The dragon closed the distance. The hunter warship fired again. Too late. The dragon slammed into the vessel like a living asteroid. Claws punched through the ship's armored hull. The enormous creature tore into the metal structure with unstoppable force. Sections of the warship exploded outward. Its weapon systems died one by one. The dragon wrapped its massive body around the vessel. And crushed, the hunter warship collapsed inward with a silent flash of light. The explosion rolled across space like a newborn star. When the fire faded, nothing remained of the ancient machine fleet, only drifting debris, and one enormous dragon hovering above the moon. Back in the control room, nobody moved. Marcus finally leaned back in his chair. "Did we just win?" Daniel nodded slowly. I think the dragon won. Captain Cole crossed his arms, watching the screen. Well, he said calmly, good thing we gave it a drink. Several minutes later, a signal appeared on the console. The dragon. Marcus opened the translator. The ancient voice was steady now. Strong. Humans. Marcus leaned toward the microphone. We're here. The dragon hovered above the moon, wings slowly moving through the silent vacuum. Its glowing eyes turned toward the tiny mining colony below. You saved me. Daniel shrugged. You were thirsty. A pause followed. Then the dragon asked something unexpected. HFY. The control room exchanged glances. Finally, Marcus answered. Because you asked. Daniel added. Also because those robot things look like jerks. Captain Cole stepped forward. You came to us peacefully, he said. That makes you a guest. Another long silence followed. The dragon's energy signature pulsed softly. Then the translator displayed a final message. 4 millions of years I were hunted. Alone, the dragon slowly turned toward the stars beyond the system, then back toward the small human colony. Today, I was helped. The creature lowered its enormous head slightly, a gesture that looked strangely like respect. Humanity will never be my enemy. Marcus blinked. Daniel whispered, Did we just make friends with a dragon? Captain Cole allowed himself a small smile. The final message appeared. From this day forward, you will never face the stars alone. The dragon spread its wings once more. Massive, ancient, terrifying, and now loyal. With a powerful beat of its wings, the last dragon of a dead civilization turned toward the galaxy, ready to fly beside the strange new species that had saved its life. All because they gave it a single drink.